Okay, hello everyone. I wanted to do a little video here to show you how to sign into administer a Smarter Balance test, whether it be CAST, the science test, math, English, LPAC, all of those options can work for IABs, so the interim assessment blocks, all of those through the Smarter Balance program. So what you would do is you would go to Tom's to log in, which is right here. First, I went to casp.org, so CAASPP.org. And then you have a variety of different options here that you can look to find out information. So you're going to go to Tom's or Interface for All Online Tests. Once you go there, I'm already logged into the system, so it took me right there. Otherwise, I would have to go to log in. This is the new look for the test delivery system. They have it set up nowadays so that you can set up your testing sessions ahead of time. It's not necessary, but you could. So if you know you're testing, say English on Monday, you could go in and schedule a session. You would just go here. You're going to choose Natomas Charter as your school and go. Then you'll pick the date of when you're going to give the test. So I'm going to say tomorrow. It should end on the same day. And click next. And then I have my choices of which of the tests I can give. Some of you won't have as many choices depending on if you're just giving CASP or if you're giving LPAC or different ones. So I am going to, for this, go ahead and do Smarter Balanced. I'm going to choose English. I can choose either the Computer Adaptive Test or the CAT or the Performance Task. You can look here. You can see the same for math. They also have a Braille test. Once I choose the CAT, then I see that I have all the different grade level options. I'm going to do third grade. And it says here you're about to start a summative test. Just a warning, because this is the students get one opportunity to take it. So I'm going to say, okay, I'm ready to give this test. So now it tells me what my test is. I could take that test off and add another one. I can call this a set or give this a session name. So I'm going to say third grade. And then down here, you get an option to say, am I testing students in person or remote or hybrid, it says. And so that would be if the students are not in front of you. So if they're in your classroom, you'll pick the in-person. And if they are at home, then you will pick remote or hybrid. I'm going to go ahead and click remote or hybrid. And then I'm going to save this session. You'll get this information that comes up. This is the test session code. You will be able to see this after this screen, so you don't have to save it. It will come up when you start the new test. And then they give you a link here. And so this is a link if your students are not taking a summative test. This is for like if you're doing an IAB in class or something where they do not need the secure browser. All right, and so now you'll see that in my upcoming sessions, I have this here. I have the session ID, the date. I have that it's remote, and I can edit or delete it. So if I am going to do an active session, maybe I'm just going in because I'm going to test later this afternoon. I'll go over here to start a new session now. Once again, I'm going to choose Natomas Charter School down here and go. Then I'm going to select my test. So I'm going to do the same. I'm going to choose English language. I'm going to do computer adaptive. I'm going to choose third grade and okay. I'm going to say this is remote and start my operational test session. You'll notice it's different. I didn't have to choose the date because it is one that I'm just setting up for right now. So I'll go ahead and start the operational session. Once again, I get my code. I will put this code on the board or share it with my students. I found in my remote testing having a slide that I put up that has the test session ID is perfect. So then the students can see it. You can also put it into the chat box. Now I am in the testing session. It says here to allow the online testing session to see your webcam. I have to agree. So I'm going to agree so that I can video conference with students. I'm going to allow that. My camera or my computer, I don't know if you can see it, is giving me a will you allow your this program to use your camera? I said yes. Same with my microphone. So there I am. You can see I am here in my little window. So I can turn my microphone off or on. There we go. Same with my camera. Now here I have the option to do a video chat with someone, or I can do, and so the video chat you can do with one student at a time. And then I can do a broadcast. Now this broadcast, I'm going to say, welcome to testing. And then what that will do is that will send out this little text to all of the students that are in the system. And it actually pauses their test for a moment and it reads it in a nice computer voice to them. So their test would stop for a moment. They would get this pink dialog box up and it would say, welcome to testing in the computer voice. So that's something if you want to talk to all of your students, you can do that. So the problem that I have found is that this nice little box here is right over where you are approving kids. So that's not the best. So you can close this, you can open it up again. And then you can see here that I have my test session ID. I can select tests. So if maybe I'm doing makeups and I have a fourth grader come in, I can add fourth grade to my session. That's fine. And then this is my refresh button so that I can refresh as I'm waiting for students to show up in my queue. And then I can look at my view. So right now my view is just in a list. So my students would show up in a list right here. I can also go to, it's not going to change because I don't really have anybody in here. You can go to a grid of up to 9 students at a time. And then you can actually do another grid where you have 4 kids that are bigger. While you're testing remotely, you must be able to see the students. It is key that you are able to see the students because you are proctoring what they're doing. So it's important that you see their face. So that is very important. If you cannot see them, or it looks like they are talking to someone or they're distracted. I actually had a student that was taking a test and all of a sudden a toddler came up and was suddenly in her lap. And so what you would want to do is send them a chat or a video, individual video conference where you say, hey, I need you to not be talking to anyone, please send the toddler off to someone else so that you can do that. So if you click on this broadcast, you get your little toggle back as well. Each individual student, there will be a little chat box that shows up next to their name, and then that is how you will do an individual chat with them. So it is pretty interesting. It's a good idea to remind the students that you can send out these broadcasts and that you can video chat with them. We also had another student when we did a broadcast that it kind of startled her because she said, oh my goodness, my computer's talking to me. What is going on? So it's very important that you have those. And then once the students are selected, you will check or are showing up, you will check that they're taking the right test and then that and then approve them. Up here, I have some options. I have a print test session. And so what this would do is this would allow me to have to print out who was in my grouping. So that's kind of handy if you need that. You can see a list of who has been approved. If you have a student that doesn't know their SSID, you can, or who the student is, you can go ahead, you can put their SSID and see who they are, or you can search them by student name. That's kind of handy. And then you can share the link if they're not needing the secure browser. All right, so I'm going to end my session. All of my students have finished, so I'll click stop. And then this always makes me a little nervous. It says stop, this will stop the testing session. And so if anyone is not finished with their test, they will be paused and then they can come back to it. But it will just be like the over 20 minutes pause. So they won't be able to go back to anything that they were working on prior to stopping the test. All right, and so then I'm back to here starting the test. So I'm going to stop sharing for a moment. And I wanted to show you when you're looking at being able to see the students when they're testing. It's very important. And I found that in doing this, showing the students what I'm expecting is very important. So when they're testing, you should see them at this angle where you can see their whole face. You can see if they're looking at the computer, if they're looking over somewhere else. If they're doing this, they're looking at their phone, right? And so they can't have any devices with them. What does not work, but the students like to do, is they like to do something like this, or they like to do this, where you just see the top of their head. That doesn't work. You need to see their whole face and see if they're turned away from the test or what they're doing. Some of the tests, the students are able to take notes, so that's okay if they're writing for that piece, but you do need to make sure that they're on task and they're not looking at someone else or someone's coming behind them as they're testing. All right, I hope this was helpful, and if you have further questions, please feel free to let me know.